Hello, Rob Garcia with Heritage PPG here for another episode of Mass Tangent. And we have Kevin Leeper back with us now. We had Mr. Bruce Jump the last time, subbing in for Kevin. And he is also a member of the proprietary team here at Heritage PPG. So we'll get started. And today we are going to talk about our spring packs that we're offering on our e-com website.
Yeah, I'm excited to get talking about spring. In Minnesota, where I live in the Twin Cities, we've had snow cover since Thanksgiving. About a week ago or 2 weeks ago, we got a foot of snow, and then it's all melted. It's fun to be on social media sites and different online platforms looking at people posting their photos from coming out of winter.
Right.
Some people are saying, look, I've done my first mow of the season, and they've got stripes already. Some people came out pretty harsh winter damage from snow mold or ice or what have you. I've got a little bit of both in my yard, my backyard. I'm starting to see some green up the front yard where I had really big snow banks right next to the driveways. A lot of snow mold, a lot of winter damage. There's some things that I'm going to need to think of when it comes to springtime lawn care.
Well, I think a lot of the country had kind of that same weather pattern where here in Colorado, it was similar. We had snow a week ago, and then yesterday and the day before, we broke the all-time record over 80 degrees, high of 84 yesterday in Denver. So same thing, and I've seen a lot of damage from the winter in the turf. I think we had a harder winter than average, lower temperatures overall. So I think there's a lot of people around the country that are having to come to, put together a plan to be able to come out of winter because we had a harder winter in a lot of the northern part of the United States.
Yeah. So there's things to think about. If you haven't been doing your lawn care, there's some different conversations that need to be had. But for those of our viewers that are into the lawn care, they've got products from last season left over. How do you look at those products? Like, is it we need to figure out where we fit these into our program, or what if it's not something that you plan to use this year? You got to figure out a way to get rid of those too.
And I think that's something that people struggle with because not everyone, depending on the size of the yard that they're taking, how much turf they have, how many trees they have, when they buy product, they have leftover. So what I like to have people do is I like to have them kind of look at what they have and then look at what their schedule is and what they're trying to accomplish and put the year and, what do you do first thing in the spring? What's our next activity? When are we going to start our post-emergent weed control? How many fertilizer applications are we going to make? And then look at what we have and then take that, and hopefully you don't have much left over, but you do want to get rid of those old products. I mean, a lot of products can sit around for 2 or 3 years, but traditionally we want to use stuff up. Otherwise we start to get things breaking down. And one of the things I think we see with the do-it-yourselfers and the homeowner market is people keep stuff in their garage and it gets below. I mean, I'm sure your garage, like my garage, was below freezing many times. So, it's good to look at the product you have, make sure that they haven't separated out, they didn't freeze and start to degrade, make sure everything's still the way that it was when you bought it, and if you did damage it, then you got to kind of look at, and I know people ask me all the time, I got a jug that's 10 years old. What do I do with it? And if it isn't any good, you don't want to use it because you could have some phytotoxic effects, some detrimental effects, might react funny in the tank or on your turf.
Or it may do nothing,
Yeah.
You're just wasting your time.
Exactly. A lot of our products, if they're not frozen, they last for a long period of time. I've got jugs in the garage. I got some Cornerstone in the garage that I probably had for 4 or 5 years. I never let it freeze. So I store it down in the crawl space over the winter, which is warmer, and I've used it for years and still have good efficacy. So you want to, look at the quality of the products and then put together a plan on where they fit into your overall schedule for the season.
Yeah, and a lot of the DIYers, the viewers that are watching this, they're getting experience over the years, and so they want to buy the higher quality products. And our website and the new, distribution channels allow for these better quality products to be one of these guys. So we're going to look at what do you need more of, right?
Sure.
And kind of the first product that people are going to be putting out this spring, some of the people in the southern states have already done this, is your pre-emerge. So we need to talk about which one are you going to use and when are you going to put it down. So what are your thoughts on those two kind of questions, Rob?
Well, and so pre-emergents are interesting, and I think of all the activities, the average do-it-yourselfer has a little better handle on post-emergent applications. I think the pre-emergents are a little more subtle, and they have a timing issue. They need to be watered in. There's a turf pre-emergent program. There is a bedding pre-emergent program. We have great products to put into the beds to keep the weeds down, so you're not always out in your flower beds and around your mulch and rock areas, continually pulling weeds or spot spraying all season. So those are, you kind of got to decide what you're going to do. One of the other things is that many of the people, they want to put granulars down. So to put a pre-emergent down in a granular form, we have some great products. Crew is a product we have on our website that could be put down as a granular in both turf and beds. So look at where you're going to put your pre-emergents, and then look at how you're going to put down your pre-emergents. Are you going to do granulars? Kind of gets us into a little bit of a corner with only a few choices in products. One of the things that's very common for turf is putting your pre-emergents down on a fertilizer carrier. Kill two birds with one stone. So that's another method. If you're going to do liquids, and we start to look at our Dimensions. I think Dimension's a great product. One of the things I like about Dimension for your do-it-yourself type of a market and customer is that it's got a little post-emergent control as well. So it's a pre-emergent with a slight bit of post-emergent. So if you miss the window, it's not as critical as some of the other products. So that's usually the one. And the other thing that Dimension's really good at is it's a really good grassy weed herbicide, and that's kind of the reason why I put Dimension in a few of the packs that we're going to talk about today. Is it's got a little post-emergent control, and it's best on grassy weeds of our common pre-emergent herbicides. So a lot of people struggle with crabgrass and some other invasive grassy weeds. It's easier to use post-emergent control for broadleaf, strike 3, and all of our really good, combination broadleaf selective herbicides. We have a lot of choices, but grasses are hard to take out. So a good grass pre-emergent program kind of eliminates that crabgrass and those other invasive grass issues. Dimension's a great choice. That's why I put it into the pack.
If you're putting down some seed, you may want to hold off on the pre-emerge.
Definitely.
At least until you get some pretty established turf seed.
One of the things that I've had guys do with if they have to do some seeding, obviously we have to adjust our post-emergent, pre-emergent applications. I usually have them skip the pre-emergent just so we shouldn't buy grass seed and then put down pre-emergence and lower our overall germination. But we do also have some good post-emergent that could be used on seeds, tenacity being one of those. You can put tenacity down. There's actually starter fertilizers that have tenacity on it for some parts of our industry. So you can get a better, knowing that you're not going to do a pre-emergent, get ready for a good post-emergent program that is not going to have an issue with your seeding.
Yeah. So there's some things to think about with seed and pre-emerge as far as timing. The kind of the rule of thumb is 55-degree soil temps is when you're going to start to see some crabgrass activity. So getting out and getting ahead of some of that. The options that we've got, Barricade and Dimension packs here, great products for pre-emerge. Like Rob said, you've got some post-emerge activity with Dimension. So if you do miss that window a little bit, you're still going to be covered with the Dimension. But being that this is for homeowners and DIYers, hopefully you've got some time scheduled in so that you can get out. I think that post-emerge window is really built in for the lawn care companies that have so many lawns to get to throughout the first part of the season, especially in states like Minnesota and Colorado, where you can flip a switch and all of a sudden you're seeing crabgrass and you're seeing dandelions at the same time,
Well, that's and then it's interesting you say that, because that's what I'm waiting for. We had way above average moisture this year. So when we get these warm days and we start to see that green up, there's going to be a flush of dandelion growth here any day now, and I'm going to get 101 calls about what can we do.
Yeah. Things as far as fertility that we wanted to touch on, talking about getting into spring, as far as looking at, maybe doing a soil test and then determining which fertilizers you wanted to use. What are we looking at? We've got a lot of, energy root system. Maybe we don't need to go out and just throw a whole bunch of nitrogen at the plant and get it going in the first part of the spring here.
I like to have people rely on their fall application. I think that fall application is really important for your overall yearly turf grass health. And so if we do a good fall application, we have enough built up carbohydrates and energy in the root system to green up. We don't have to go out immediately. So it allows us to do some other activity, get our trees down, do any recovery work from any winter damage that we may have had. So do our seeding. If we are doing some seeding, that's an opportunity to put out a little extra phosphorus just to help with that overall germination. So we could adjust and do, partial areas while we're doing that activity, but letting it come out of dormancy naturally and not force it out with a flush of nitrogen, I think is really the best overall approach. And it allows you to not, so I've had the conversation with some people and some customers that didn't do that. And right now the flush of growth is so great from an ammonium sulfate application that they're baling hay. The term baling hay has been used in the last week. So you're getting so much.
Oh God, it's too early for that.
Exactly. I'm like, let it come out natural. No, I got to get it greened up. And they want to, like you said, they want to get lines in it immediately so it looks good to start the season. So I'm not a big fan of pushing it. I think you can slide that back a little bit, and then you're doing.
Is the feedback from them?
I think the feedback's been really favorable. Some of the attributes that using that Turf Tech tool you mentioned that we built into the product, we have good color. That's one of the comments that talking to our one of our influencers, he said that color's really good. The blade structure is a little bit smaller, so it's a nice consistent blade structure, and it germinated quickly. And Artemis is a seed that we apply our gravity PGS, and Kevin and I've mentioned that multiple times throughout our podcasts. But it helps to increase the germination, shorten the germination time, and then when we do have germination, our establishment rate is a lot better. So the survival rate of the seedlings is much higher. So you get a thicker, denser stand in shorter period of time. So really good feedback on that grass seed.
The pictures I've seen are really cool.
Yeah, well, and I have a buddy that is just was going to redo his yard. Former golf course superintendent, but he's got another job now with a metro district. But I'm going to try to grow Artemis at 8,000 feet in Edwards, Colorado. Right. So not something typically done here in Colorado. But I was talking to Trevor and grass seed. I'm like, can we try fescue, turf type tall? And he's like, sure. He was out in Washington prior to coming back to Colorado, working at a golf course in Washington. And so very familiar in that part of the country with turf type tall fescue. That's a pocket that it's growing in the rough. They don't really use it for fairways or greens, but there are areas that have it. So he's pretty familiar with it. So we're going to grow Artemis at altitude just to see how it goes.
There you go. Then we can come up with a new grass blend called Altitude for those, high elevation courses.
Exactly. So
another product that's kind of these spring packs and has been kind of growing in popularity throughout the U.S. is ProPete. You're a big fan of ProPete. I've used it myself on my own yard. I love the prills. I love the design of the product, and kind of just the results that you see are better than what I've seen with fertilizers. What's special about ProPete in your mind?
One of the things that is unique is that when you look at the process of how it's manufactured, essentially they take all of the nutrients that we see in a traditional blended fertilizer, and they have a machine that crushes it into a powder, and then they utilize that organic peat to bring that back together, and that's why you have that really nice uniform prill, and it's very consistent as far as how it breaks down and how much longevity you get. You put it down at the rates on the bag, and you get about exactly 90 days, which I think is a really good window for the average person to put 3 applications down. And you got a spring app, you get a midsummer app, and you have a fall app. Very consistent. It's gonna those apps are gonna blend together. So we're not gonna see the turf go through this. Where we put it to, and it doesn't. I don't know about what your experience is, but it doesn't give you that big flush that you see from some other, fertilizers, the higher level of quick release. The peat actually the breakdown slows that down. So I'm a big fan of it, and I think it's a great product. It also it gives you good color, and it's easy to spread, and it's a very clean product. So really nice.
Yeah, I agree.
We have it in those smaller bags, so it's one of those things when you get a bag, essentially at the rates on the bag, you get about 5,000 square feet for one of those bags. So if you have a 15 to 20,000 square foot yard, that's again kind of the numbers I worked up for the larger packs. Is you need 3 or 4 bags, so you don't need a lot. It's easy to put down. It's homogeneous. It's a nice product.
I agree. I've liked it the times that I have used it, and plan to use it again this season until we get into some of our. This is a future. Some of our newer products that Heritage is coming out with. So we'll get into that in just a little bit. Aceleprint is another great product that we've included in some of these packs. If you've got grub issues, this is a good one to throw down. And, it kind of fits in with the same timing as a pre-emerge. If you're getting a pre-emerge in one of these packs as well.
Yeah. And so what's nice about Aceleprint is that for the larger guys that do have some actual spray equipment, and we are working with some of those types of do-it-yourselfers, we have the liquid option, and then for the smaller yards, and we have the granular option. So we really have the flexibility of application between granular and liquid, and we have some smaller bags, 25-pound bags that are designed for that smaller yard versus the liquid that you can do up to acres worth. It's a common product in large lawn care as well. And the only thing that I would say about Aceleprint is that you need to get it down a little bit early. It needs some time to come up to where it's being effective on the insects. So getting it down in the right timing. And if you look at any of the literature that Syngenta has, they kind of give you approximations for timing throughout the United States. So pretty easy to pinpoint for your given geography and weather that you have when to put your Aceleprint.
Yeah, when to put it down. I would also, look at the literature, the label, understanding your situation as far as grubs are concerned for the amount of product that you're putting down. Because there can be a little bit of a range there. And you don't want to overdo it, but you don't want to underdo it too, especially with grubs.
Exactly. And there's definitely they have a very good description on the label that talks about some grubs and some insect species, they take a little bit more. So you need to look at what your issue is to make sure you're putting down the correct amount.
So those are a handful of products that we wanted to touch on before we get into the packs. Now I want to look at each individual pack and kind of get your thoughts on who do you think is going to be buying these packs, and is there a certain product in that pack that we haven't discussed? A lot of these that are in the packs, we've already maybe done a podcast Mass Tangent episode. So if there's questions on products that we don't get answered in this Mass Tangent episode, you can go back and look at some of the previous ones. But let's start with the biggest one, the Overachiever Pack. What are your thoughts with that one, Rob?
So the Overachiever Pack was, in my mind, for the customer that is basically like their own little lawn care company. They have a large acreage. I built the pack around about a half acre. So there's many people, and the more we come in contact, they have this kind of acreage. So and then trying to hit as many of the key activities I wanted to give them a pack that would give them like I've told some of the people I've talked to, we're not too far off of a fairway program right here. So if you're the guy that wants to have a golf course like fairway like lawn, and they're out there, Kevin's related to one that has even as far as got a reel mower instead of.
He sent me a picture of his roots this morning. They're this long.
There you go.
April 14th in Minnesota.
That's the guy. So
he's using Heritage turf seed, by the way.
Again, that's exactly the type of person that I built that pack for. And I put in pre-emergence. I put in preventative insecticides. I put in a granular application on the front end and the back end. And then, much like fairway applications or guys that are spraying their fairways, I put together a nutritional liquid program in the middle of the summer. So this we have to also remind people, this is built for people that have the ability to apply efficiently and at the correct rates liquid applications. So that's something that I want to make aware. So we have wetting agents and other biostimulants. We have our Humic L in the pack. So that pack is kind of the all-inclusive wetting agents, pre-emergence, insecticides, granular nutritional programs, and supplemental liquid programs. Trying to cover as much.
It also has some seed,
It does.
So
it does. And it goes in there for guys that are like, I'd like to have a little denser area here. Maybe have a thin spot. When they did the dirt prep, the soil prep at the site, there's a low spotter. Like dealing with Uli, he's got turf growing on a boulder that's buried in his yard. Those are the areas that you need to do supplemental seed work to maximize that density in those hard to grow areas.
There's a lot of stuff in that pack. It's got a little bit of everything for that guy that really wants to have that fairway style lawn. The next one down, which maybe one of the more popular ones in my opinion, just because of what's in the pack, is the health is wealth. And this is maybe as kind of when I'm looking at, I think of like the experienced DIYer, maybe not at a level of the Overachiever Pack, but somebody that knows what they're doing.
And that's the guy that he understands he wants to get a pre-emergent app out. So we built a pre-emergent application into it. We put some fertilizer in the pack to do a top dress around all of his trees and shrubs, to do some ornamental with the 11-11-11. And then we maintain that use of the Pro Pete for our spring application. We also then did put in some drought management products with the humic humic base and also some aquasync, so some wetting agents, and then a real simple post-emergent weed control problem with the Strike 3 and some adjuvant, some surfactant, non-ionic surfactant. So nice, easy. We did also include a soil test on here. So if maybe he did at that end of that season didn't get everything that he wanted, we'll do a soil test and we can adjust the next season. So I see this is the guy that maybe isn't quite, like you said, there on the Overachiever Pack, but he might be next year. He's like right between the two.
Yeah. Yep. They're going to be interested in some seed next year for sure. Green practices. This is an interesting one. It's got some different products than all the other packs, obviously being that it's a green program, but you've got a lot of experience with these products. Why don't you kind of touch on a couple of them?
So
I'm sure we're going to get people that are buying these too,
Oh, absolutely. And so essentially, as we started to sell into a bigger geography, because I'm here in Colorado and I do also work with the sales reps and people in Oregon and Washington. What I wanted to put together is I want to put together an organic based package. And I wanted to address the same things that we address with our traditional chemistry and our traditional products, but I wanted to do it on an organic basis. So Pro Pete, great. Again, it's peat based and traditional nutrients. So we utilize the Pro Pete again. And then we utilize for weed control, we utilized Fiesta, which is an organic, OMRI certified post-emergent herbicide. We utilize Final Sand. That's that non-selective product. So That's able to do if you want to spot spray weeds. We got crack weeds, weeds growing in your rock. We could use final sand to take that out. Also organically certified. We put some organic insecticides in the package so that we can address any of the issues if we have aphids or things, but we want to use an organic based insecticide. That's what I put in there. Azagard is a great product. It has a really big, broad insect label on it. So we put that in there. So you have insects in your trees or your shrubs or even in your turf. We can utilize those products. And then again, we wanted to be able to utilize an adjuvant. So we put our OMRI certified Jet Shield, which is an organosilica product to help improve the performance of the other herbicides and insecticides that we have in our package. And then we put together, because even people with organic settings have ants and other nuisance insects. So we added in some Antex, which is was an organic based pest control insecticide. So weed control, good nutritional management, and organic pest control products to keep that organic theme going. And I know I have a couple of larger lawn care and ornamental customers. They offer a very similar pack to their customers who want to have that organic basis and look for alternatives to traditional products.
Yeah, somebody might want to go with a more organic or green-based program. Is there certain results or timelines that somebody should be expecting to see if they're just getting into the organic?
There is, because I think the things, especially insecticides, they really behave and give you the similar performance. If you went out and made, say, a pyrethroid application with 10-guard or baseline bifenthrin, permethrin, you'll get about the same control with the Azagard as far as the speed of seeing the effects on whether it's aphids or whatever your insect you're trying to control. It's with the herbicides where you see the differences. They're subtle. They have high rates. You got to mix up a lot of product. They're more spot spray type of applications. So where we've been effective in the organic weed control market is to kind of continually always do a little spot spraying, always on them, because they're contact herbicides, not systemics like what we're familiar with our other common herbicides in the market. So we need to be able to just spot them all the time. And I've had some buddies that do this. I have a friend that's got a bunch of dogs, and we've been using Fiesta for dandelion control. He just every couple of days before he mows, every time he mows, he goes out and spots around his yard with a backpack. That's kind of the type of application that you need to be making.
For sure. Yep. Next on the list, we've got the Weed and Feed Pack. Not many products, but still really good, products to get into a program if you maybe haven't before done your own lawn care, or if you have some extra products left over from last season.
Well, and I think that what we see when people start doing a program is that they start out with fertilization. And this goes even for small lawn care customers that we've dealt with over the years. They start out with fertilization. Oh, I got that. Oh, the grass is all greened up. I'm all happy. And then I think I'm going to kill some weeds. So this package is kind of for the person that's getting into doing their own activities, where they're going to fertilize or we're going to control the weeds. We also did put in there a little bit of tank cleaner, because you got to keep your equipment clean. So pre-emergent, post-emergent nutrition, kind of the starter pack, for a better term.
What about the blue ribbon?
So the blue ribbon, I think it's the guy that was maybe in the Weed and Feed Pack, and he wants to up his game. And so by doing that, he adds in he did his weed control. He did a good job the first year. His turf looked really good with his fertilization program that we put together with the Pro Pete. But he had ants. He had grubs. He had other issues. We've added those into that pack.
Okay, so it doesn't come with a case of PBR?
No, it doesn't. If you buy more than one, you get a case of PBR. No.
All right, that sounds good. And you got to drink it while you're after you're done applying. Hot turf summer. This is a really good pack. I think, somebody that's planning for a lot of heat or maybe doesn't have an irrigation system.
Exactly. That's a key point there for sure. The people that don't, and they're going to rely on, well, like what you experienced, Minneapolis, Minnesota, Wisconsin, through the Midwest, you get consistent rainfall. Last year, didn't you guys have an abnormally dry, like you were telling me that the yards and the turf that didn't have irrigation, strawed out and went dormant.
Yeah, people let their yards go. It was in my neighborhood especially, but see just dry turf or dormant or even dead, areas because people just weren't watering.
And it's because their traditional rainfall was way low, and it happened in a bunch of parts of the country. So this type of a pack, this would be able to get us through that. If you have irrigation, it's going to make your irrigation perform better. If you don't have irrigation, it's going to help you to get between rainfall events. It's going to help. It's going to help hold more moisture. We've added in AquaSync. That's one of our proprietary wetting agents that helps to move water into the soil and also hold on to it in the root profile. So great product for all types of soil. We added some micronutrients. So even though maybe the turf is under stress and struggling a little bit, we have added in some, so we have good color. So we're giving the plant those other things and not giving it a bunch of nitrogen, because when you have turf that's under stress like that, one of the things that you don't want to do is to over fertilize it with nitrogen, especially with quick release nitrogen. It can almost negatively affect the turf grass. So, and then we also put in some of our gravity humic base. Gravity humic base, I've mentioned the name a couple times. Essentially, we have a humic acid, fulvic acid, and kelp combination product. So a couple of different very common biostimulants in a mix. So great product. It's going to help give the plant. It's also going to help with our moisture retention. That's one of the other benefits of humic acids and humates. So good combination to just get the turf through that hot time of the season, still keeping good color and also still keeping good density. So good pack.
Yeah, I see somebody that maybe has fertility planned out and maybe has some leftover herbicide on the shelf, going with this pack for those midsummer months.
Well, and you get into a pack like this where the customer that is maybe lives in a townhome complex or a large residential HOA complex. They fertilize, but they don't do a whole lot else, and he wants his area around his house that when he's sitting on the patio barbecuing look better than the overall complex. These are those types of products.
Yep, everybody's for my zone. Be hanging out on his yard.
Yeah. So everybody comes over to his house and drinks his beer. Then that's what happens.
Container sizes and how there's likelihood that either you'll have more or not enough depending on the size of your yard. We make a note on the website. I'll just read it. Customers may have an excess or shortage of some product due to varying yard size. Customers who buy a pack will be eligible for a discount on a future pack product that to the program for those that may have more or less depending on the size of their yard and the amount of applications that they may need to make as well. The goal in the future would be to have packs that like this is what you have and you're going to run out of it and start fresh the following season.
And I think it's interesting because as we've moved forward and we're getting into this e-com, the container sizes that have traditionally worked in our commercial industry are different. As two of the guys that help do the container, it's a process. So we're continually evolving and putting smaller containers onto the site, but we just don't have access to everything that we would like right now. So you are going to have, when I started working on the packs, I put together kind of a little bit of a size and knowing that there's going to be things but the majority of things, you're going to use most of them. For the Overachiever Pack, Northern, Southern, and Liquid Pack, they cover about a half acre. So if you have a half acre or you want to make multiple applications and you have, say, 10 to 12,000 square feet, these packs are going to work for you. For the blue ribbon and the hot summer, these packs are more, they're specific to what you're trying to accomplish. So they're about 3,500 square feet. So we're a little better, a little smaller. So if you have a yard that's, again, 10 to 12,000 square feet, you might look into buying a couple of the packs, knowing that you're going to need a little bit more material. 10,500. So again, if you have a larger yard and you're trying to accomplish that, you'll need to buy a pack or two. But the big ones, about a half acre, a few of those specific ones, 3,500 square feet, and then 10,000 on the wooden feet.
Last thing to touch on is our Gravity G Plus tees. This is something I think I kind of recall talking about this in one of the previous podcasts as like a pre-tease, something like that. But we're getting really close to having these products ready for sale, and we're getting super excited about it. What we've discussed in this podcast is a liquid-based program, guys that are out there able to do liquid applications of just about any product because that's the equipment that they have or that's what they like to do. We understand that not everybody has those capabilities. So we are also working to incorporate a lot of these products onto a granular.
Mm-hmm. So I think what about the G Plus in a nutshell is I look at the humates, wetting agents, biostimulants, PGS, micronutrients, and through the last couple of years, we've worked with manufacturers to put these products on or in your fertilizer bag. So when you go out and make an application of a Gravity G Plus product, then you'll be able to get all of those benefits plus a fair amount of slow release. And we've highlighted some other things. So really good, sound products. And when you make an application, you're not just putting out NPK and maybe some iron. You're getting a multitude of other products and chemistry in the bag. And when we put the bags together, the blends together specifically, when we worked on those, we didn't really just arbitrarily, well, maybe we should throw some PGS in there and we'll put a little of this and a little of that. We tried to look at what that product was going to be used for. Well, things that are starters, we put PGS in to help, again, with establishment and stress management. When we built our ornamental blend, we put some carbon-based methylene urea and some humate and some other micronutrients, knowing that the ornamentals are going to be used on will benefit from those products. So we really looked at what our choices were, what were in our packs that we had already built for the liquid line, and tried to make blends to fit in. So when we launched that, I think people are going to really be happy with how much different types of products they can get into their overall yearly program by just making granular applications.
Definitely. And it may be something that they also incorporate into one of these packs where, it's a good idea to do a liquid and a granular program, kind of have a little bit of both.
Yep,
so,
sure.
Future packs will have some good combinations here.
And I think that's one of the things that you find is that when you look at these products overall, many of these products that we've talked about today, multiple applications throughout the growing season. If that was spring or midsummer with a G Plus that has all these benefits, and then come out in the summer with another, but you might need to supplement some liquids in there. The products are made to work and interface together throughout the growing season.
Yep. Man, I think we touched on a lot. This is a good
It's a lot. That was a lot.
Spring applications, I think people are excited to get out and get going. It's baseball season, so you're looking at your TV and you see this really nice green grass, and it kind of gets you all pumped up to go and do it on your own yard too.
Those guys have been working on it for a while. Trust me.
Well, that's true.
I know some sports turf managers. They're out there all the time. The couple of acres down here at Coors Field that gets a lot of attention. One of the other things that I wanted to finish up with, Kevin, was if anyone has a question about what pack might be best for them,
It's a good point.
Send a message through the website to producer Susie, and we'll try to help you choose which one you want.
For sure. What kind of information do we need? Like, we don't want them to just say, "Hey, which pack should I get?" Like, what should they be telling us about their yard?
I think they should tell us where they're at in the United States, so we can get a little geographical and weather perspective on what we're dealing with. The size that they have, that's going to help us kind of decide, well, this pack's going to fit for you, and what they want to accomplish. And finally, maybe what their issues are. Is weed control my number one issue? Am I in an area that has a really bad turf insect issue? If they are in an area that has some disease issues, gray leaf spot or whatever, say that, because we have other products on the website to accomplish those tasks as well that maybe aren't in the pack, but we can answer those questions. It's something that we do all the time, and this time of the year, I'm maybe getting, 2 to 3 questions a day on a lot of days. I was actually, before the podcast today, looking at the log of all the questions, and that's what we did on another podcast. We answered the questions. So sending those questions, sending us those comments on how to help you choose a pack, we have that ability, and we get that information back to you as quickly as possible.
You bet. Thank you all for watching. Let us know if you got any
guys.
questions. We'll be with you soon.